Are the Cubs running out of time to sign Shota Imanaga? Or is the fact that there's a January 11th deadline on either sign or go back to Japan going to help the Cubs? We're going to talk about that and some other stuff. The final show, unless something big breaks today, of the 2023 campaign here on the Cubs Baseball Channel. So let's get this thing going. What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. And I want to tell you that I appreciate you being here. I'm Mick Gillispie, and you can follow me on the socials at Broadcaster Mick. Hope you're having a great holiday season and a happy New Year. Yeah, today, New Year's Day. No, that's tomorrow. New Year's Eve. That's the day that gets you ready for New Year's Day, right? So one more day. This is the last show of 2023, which is amazing to me that we're even this far. But then come tomorrow, it's going to be 2024, which is just incredible to think that we're that far ahead. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with us here on the channel. And you guys have made 2023 fantastic. Didn't know that I would be doing this. People were urging me over the last couple of years to start a channel. And then I finally did. And it was right at the trade deadline, a couple weeks before that. And all of a sudden the Cubs started winning. I thought, hey, they're going to trade everyone. We'll be able to tell everybody about the players they're trading. And instead we went on an incredible run that was just so much fun. I think the Cubs missed an opportunity to add some really good players to the organization. But at the same time, you're in this to win. And that should be your goal every single year as a major market team. And so it was just a fun campaign, and, we'll see what happens. Hopefully next year is another one of those magical championship seasons. And, last year told us something. It said at this point of the season or off season in 2022, I wasn't thinking that the Cubs could contend. And I saw they went out and got some guys. By the time spring training started, they'd added Dansby Swanson and, and some other guys, Cody Bellinger, Eric Hosmer, but I just I'm like, is this for real? I mean, are these guys legitimately going to contend? And they did, so I'm really on the train to get Cody Bellinger back, just because I don't know how you survive without that kind of production. If you can, work through the analytics people that don't like him for whatever reason. And it could be that he just doesn't blow up all of the analytics sensors that they put out there. He just gets hit and drives in runs, and important runs, including some of the ones that go over the fence. But let's talk about pitching, because it is interesting. I heard our friend Bruce Levine talking today about a guy that we've talked about a lot on this channel, and that is left-handed pitcher Shota Imanaga, who is from Japan. Last year pitched for the BayStars and had a very good season, 2.80 ERA, and strikes out a lot of batters. He's not a power pitcher, but he isn't also, I wouldn't say, a soft tosser. I mean, he throws in the 90s. But this day and age, when you throw in the low 90s, people think you're a finesse guy. He throws a ton of strikes. He can pitch. He'll be able to pitch a lot of innings, because if they put the ball in play with the defense that the Cubs have, you figure there's going to be a lot of outs there. But there's other teams that want Imanaga as well. One of those teams made a trade today in the Boston Red Sox, or at least one of the teams that's been on that list. And they traded former White Sox Chris Sale to the Atlanta Braves. And that's interesting to me. They also signed Giolito, did the Red Sox. And I wonder if they're trying to move payroll around because Atlanta's going to be picking up a big chunk of, of that payroll for sale. But the Braves have done a lot this offseason as well to really revamp their team after coming up short last year, like the Cubs. They just did it in the postseason, and the Cubs fell short in the in the regular season. So what would an Imanaga deal look like? I'm guessing that since he's 30 years old, if he got 5 years, that'd be about the extent of a contract. How much money per year? I don't know, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be, 25 million, somewhere there. Could be a little less, could be a little more, but that's what big league starters get now. We don't even know what the guy can do because he hasn't pitched in the big leagues. But what we do know is that Japanese players have been coming to the MLB league here. I don't know. I'd say the last 10 or 15 years, and they're pretty good. So you feel comfortable that he's going to be able to come in and slide to the rotation and help the Cubs out. Now, I said before, and it is true, that he was posted by the BayStars. And so him and his agent have until the 11th of January to get a deal done. So that's tomorrow's the 1st. So that'd be 11 days, right? So they've got to get something figured out. That makes it a little bit easier to get a deal done. Like when you're dealing with Scott Boras, it's infinite. Maybe spring training, maybe opening day, but there's no real deadline on when deals need to be made. And Major League Baseball and the Players Union should probably enact that just so that we don't have to sit around and wait and wait and wait. You can actually put a roster together. I don't think they ever would, but it makes this dealing with Imanaga so much better just because we know that something's going to happen. And is it going to be the Cubs? Is it going to be San Francisco? The Giants right now are watching what the Dodgers are doing, and they're definitely feeling pressure to try to add to the roster that they have. They would have really liked to have gotten Ohtani. They would have liked to have gotten Yamamoto. Those guys, instead of playing in San Francisco, they end up in L.A., and the Dodgers have always, in my lifetime, seemed to have had some star power. But right now, you're talking about, feels like an all-star team with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and then Shohei Ohtani, So we'll see if that translates into World Series championships. But it's definitely a team that you're going to want to keep an eye on, even though they play on the West Coast. Sometimes by the time they come on, you're tired. And you're like, no, I got to watch these guys. I got to see what they're all about. Will the Cubs make a deal for Imanaga? I feel like they're going to have to do something. And I've said this over and over again on here, in the pitching market, in the starter world, they're going to have to add some hurlers. I don't think they're going to want Marcus Stroman back. Just kind of my intel tells me that that's a very, very slim possibility after he opted out of his contract. So he's out there. You got trade possibilities. I think a lot of us would love to see the Cubs make a deal to bring Dylan Cease back, someone that was drafted by the Cubs and eventually traded to the White Sox and has been pretty good in the big leagues, came in second in the Cy Young a couple of years ago. And for the analytic crowd, they love him. He throws hard and he's a strikeout machine. So you figure that maybe he wouldn't be your ace, but he could develop into one, and you have him for 2 years. Cleveland's a possibility. The Cubs have had some front office guys come from there, and that makes it easier as well, too. When you're making a trade with a team, think about it. Jed Hoyer made deals with San Diego. That's where he came from. There's a comfort level that you have there, relationships. You can lean on those and talk to those people with a lot more confidence than maybe someone you don't know as well, or you haven't worked with before. So maybe that'll help the Cubs, making a deal with Cleveland, and that's something that could definitely take place. So we'll keep an eye on that. But January 11th is the deadline for Imanaga, and I just can't imagine him going back and not having a deal. As hungry for pitching as Major League Baseball is right now, and how little options there are out there, I just can't imagine a scenario where someone doesn't sign him, and it could be the Cubs. And I'm sure there's some pressure on the front office to make a deal. I mean, from the reports I've seen, they're like, it's the Cubs are the last front office that haven't done anything with the Major League roster. But that doesn't mean anything to me. And I know for some of you guys, you're ready to get something done. What you do on New Year's, or what you do on January 11th, like the 13th, February 1st, it doesn't matter to me. You start getting into when pitchers and catchers report, and then you start to kind of get into that area where you're like, you know what, we need to be making moves here, because you want pitchers and catchers, you want those guys reporting all together. You want them, the people that you bring to the team, to have a complete spring training, and there's routines and all of that stuff, getting stretched out, getting to know your teammates and all of that. And then by spring training, you'd like to know what, at least have a good idea of what your roster is. I mean, I think it would be great to have it done now, just because it'd make it easier, but I don't think it's the end of the world if it's not. So that's where we are with, kind of with today's show. And I, again, want to thank you guys for helping make this channel great. We hit 3,000 subscribers. We did that yesterday, and it was just so cool. Like, you put the shows out, and then, people subscribe, and it means a lot to me to be able to come on here and talk to you guys and answer your comments, and, just kind of talk baseball. And it's been fun to have friends of mine like Chad come on and do this and chop it up. And, the Scout podcast with Tim Wilkin. I love that show. That's just something that you can go back and watch, but that's me kind of nerding out with someone that is really one of the greats in scouting history in baseball, so we'll continue to do those shows. We're kind of working on what's next there, but thank you guys for being part of this channel, up to 3,000 subscribers, and hopefully we'll just continue to grow. And then think about how exciting it is when we start to actually get some news to talk about. Anyway, this is it for 2023, unless there's a blockbuster move tomorrow. And I will talk to you guys in 2024. One thing I do want to say, though, before I get out of here, is to check out the Smokies team store, smokiesbaseball.com/team store. Go Cubs.